What's going on, gamers? We have some more news to talk about here in the Xbox world when it comes to people jumping the gun wrongly again when it comes to what they think Jess said and making it a fact and wanting to basically reveal again how they feel about what Sony does and how bad the Xbox base wants Sony to do the same thing so they can have that identity because they're starting to understand that. It's been popping up more now than ever. Yes, we made some videos on it, but something else happens again, which is actually interesting. So here it is right here by Gaming Leaks and Rumors, and it popped up on Reddit. This is where things get interesting. It says Jez Corden might be hinting that Microsoft will pull out from the Steam store. And this type of stuff is funny to me because this gives me the idea, and he said he didn't say that, by the way, we'll get to that in a second. This gives me the idea that, definitely after what happened with Forza 6, that the Xbox base wants to follow and wants Microsoft to follow, and they're crying to him a lot on this player voice so bad, the decision that Sony's doing, because it aligns with give me back my exclusives and pull out from Steam, keep on working on the Xbox app on PC so that you could get the Helix to be an Xbox store, Xbox app focus, and then it has its own exclusive ecosystem, and it's competing against Steam and also at the same time competing against PlayStation. This is an idea that I think the reason why this is happening, because this would be their only way of going exclusives. If you started off with that and you had an Xbox Helix S, and because you had an Xbox Helix S and you load your games down to $59.99, made Game Pass more friendly, provided free online and backwards compatibility. I'm just saying, if there was any other way, that would be the only other way, because how are you going to have Steam but then try to play the exclusive game? You can't, because Steam is not Xbox. That's why I said if you were trying to get PlayStation games, this is the funny thing. If you were trying to get PlayStation games and you're saying Xbox is getting these games, you're not getting those games. You're getting them from having access to Steam's database, because Steam is the one that has PlayStation games. Xbox never got those games. You got stuff like Helldivers, MLB The Show, you know, Marathon or something like that. Yeah, in that sense, but you never got their single player games. No, that's not the way that happened. But this type of stuff, once again, exposes the flip-flop of the Xbox world and how they really feel when it comes to what PlayStation is doing. They still watch that, because you'll see a lot of hypocrites say all y'all talk about is Xbox, and it's like, no, when I was farming, I was doing a lot of PlayStation stuff still, and saying PlayStation fanboys, right? It's kind of funny. It just depends on what side you're on or what you're covering. I don't choose necessarily a side. I game where gaming is the most beneficial to me, though I love Nintendo the most, but I've been enjoying a lot of PlayStation lately. I've enjoyed Xbox a lot in the past, all the way since the beginning until like this generation. I'm like, okay, that's it. I've enjoyed PC gaming, but I've played Nintendo and PlayStation the most, along with Xbox following. Sega prior to that. But this is just funny stuff. Dea says, why the hell would they do that, LMAO? That's where they make their money. Effing idiot that man is. But he didn't say that. That's a great idea if they want to destroy the Xbox brand even further. Well, we're talking about publishing. Imagine Forza not launching on Steam and trying to be an exclusive to Xbox with these idiots not dropping the price of the console. Which I believe, like I said before, they should have had an Xbox Forza bundle with the regular Xboxes on sale and a Forza themed Xbox limited edition. This was to be your tentpole right now, your biggest. It always hits 90 plus meta. Why would you not do that? Because they don't care about hardware. They're already letting you know that. That's why I told people that in order to compete, you need to have a strong install base that's growing weekly and monthly. When you see those sales, so you're moving all those units, you can get the sales back from your ecosystem. But not only are they not doing that, but Game Pass has spoiled people to not buy anything. So when you just add all that up together, it's an impossible game. So this is the funny thing. This says, does this mean Xbox is going back to full exclusives? Dr. Sharma, marry me, please. Of course, that's not happening, but you're pipe dreaming. Now, the funny thing about this is this came off of a post right here that Paris posted and said the same thing. Forza Horizon 6 just set a record for active players on Steam, but Xbox is going to remove their games. The next 2 weeks until the showcase can't go by fast enough. He's just kind of like speculating. I don't think he's making that as a confirmation, because that goes back to what Jez said. And then he comes out and says, I did not hint at this, LOL. Paris says, I know. Just saying it's gotten ridiculous with the wild rumors. It was one of the things on the hot news on Twitter yesterday. Funny stuff, man, isn't it, man? You see like all this stuff coming out and it's like, yeah, you want exclusives. You want the Xbox app to be as good as Steam. Now you want to imagine that Xbox is doing just as well on PC and is going to go back to the 360 Xbox One days, though not the Xbox One that's bad, but at least still trying to fight with exclusives. You got to 58 million consoles still, even after all that. It just shows you if they wouldn't have messed up, just imagine. But hey, you know, it's over. Jess says, I was replying to a guy complaining about Xbox futures in Forza. And I was kind of thinking like, damn, I mean, lots of big service games don't come to Steam at all. I think given how Steam is angling for its own ecosystem, there's an analytical argument to be had for Microsoft eventually prioritizing Xbox PC and Battle.net and Epic Games, I guess. Because that goes along with them owning Activision Blizzard. Since they're at least reciprocal with Fortnite, Xbox PC isn't there today, but it could reach a point where it's worth keeping it on their own stuff to anchor its own ecosystem, drive users, and offer a competitive alternative basically to Steam. So basically what people see in this that makes them want to jump the gun. He says, yes, if Xbox PC ever gets to a place of being a real competitor to Steam, which is what I'm saying, that's what you're talking about, then it would be possible, but a lot of work needs to be done and will be in the 2030s before this becomes a serious conversation. And he says 2030s ain't that far off, to be fair. Martin says, that's right, it's time for Xbox PC to be the priority and not give away profits to Steam. No, dude, they're getting a lot of profits and publishing power from Steam, and just like they are from PlayStation. And it's like they're grabbing stuff from Nintendo and like they want to grab stuff from mobile. They don't have a choice. So this gives you the idea of how this stuff actually got really big. That here comes the idea of Microsoft's doing it next. They're taking their games away from Steam. Xbox is going back to exclusives. You just got this huge post going about basically saying, you can keep going down, you'll find more people. Microsoft ditching Steam rumor. Things I noticed in the past. Only Epic Store was ever mentioned with Helix. Epic wanted in on the Helix back in 2025 and praised Xbox recently. Microsoft looked at the Steam OS as a threat to Windows 11. Yeah, you saw those Steam OS results, right? Where it was showing how much better it is to do something on Linux and on Valve using Linux than it was versus the ROG, even before the ROG, and just comparisons with Windows 11. Steam was getting like huge benefits. Linux was getting huge benefits. So that made Microsoft want to improve their store forefront, their optimizations, make it more of a gaming type experience. And by doing this, you're trying to make people be attractive. But how long did it take them to do that though? You see what I mean? This is where I realized like you should have been doing this. But now they're trying to all do it now where it's like your brand is the most damaged now more than ever. I mean, it's not bad to keep trying to improve it, but I'm saying this is something you should have been doing because Windows Store has been trashed forever before that. Nobody liked it. They avoided it and they always made fun of it. Then Windows 11 was being made fun of. Then Microsoft themes were coming on. The security vulnerabilities. It's good to see them now at least try to approach this situation. But once again, this gives you the idea of where the Xbox base wants to be. Could it be because of Steam Machine? I would say that Steam is bigger on their own platform. It supposedly has hundreds of millions of computers than the Steam Machine. I think a lot of people are overestimating the Steam Machine. It's not going to be something that's going to sell 50 million devices or something. They're trying to shoot for probably about 10 million lifetime. So that's not really a threat. But it could open up a door to something if they would have made future hardware aspects of it. So this gives you the idea of that. Guys, this is not it. This is not it. Hold on. Let me go somewhere else too. This is where things also gets interesting. Right here is another post of what I'm talking about. The post now for Xbox to return to exclusivity is now up to 17,000 votes on that Xbox player voice. This kind of aligns with the Steam fantasy, leaving Steam fantasy as well. This guy says, I hate gamers so much. The latter half of this gen was looking positive with PlayStation going to PC and Xbox being multi-platform. Now Sony is going back to the old ways and people demand Xbox do the same. Multi-platform is healthy for the industry, people. It isn't 2010 anymore. Multi-platform works for Xbox because they don't have a choice. Don't tell me identity is not healthy for the industry when the number one things that rule the market in the world are Nvidia, who obviously is anti-consumer, Apple, who's number 2, Google is number 3, and they've been going back and forth. Microsoft, I think, is number 5 now, maybe number 4. But you look at the top things on the market, I've already explained this before, identity has always ruled the world. When you talk about sports icons, they were exclusive to their team, winning championships and making brands bigger than they ever could historically because there was identity there. Same thing with Nike, same thing with Michael, same thing with music. You look at the same thing again with certain labels. You're representing that brand. YouTube, you see what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I said, Nike. Windows. Disney, Marvel, Batman. You know what I mean? All identity when it's like, I'm ruling the world now. And it's always like that. You can't beat this. Universal Studios, Universal Pictures, right? AT&T, Comcast, Xfinity. They all have their own identities and are trying to get you in their world. They may do some collaborations. That's possible. Maybe, right? But the thing is that it was always about the identity structure. You coming in with this meaning the way that you guys do it, the only reason you're saying that is because the side that you're on couldn't do it anymore. So now you want to push that agenda. It's anti-consumer to kill competition and make gaming soulless and boring, where everything is just a third-party generic box with all the same games. What's the point then? What's the point of all the sports teams if they don't have all that different talent? You see what I mean? No, it's always this team versus this team. It's always this brand, Coca-Cola versus this brand, Pepsi. You see what I mean? No matter how you put it, Batman versus Superman, there was always that identity clash. Star Wars had its own identity. You see, ruling the world at the time that it was. What? Are you saying that that's not the case? And that it still doesn't work like that? Everywhere is the same. It's still like that. So you can't beat it. McDonald's, Walmart, Target. Hey, all those are gone to for a specific reason. And you think Walmart wants to have the same, give their customers to Target? No, they want to take as many customers from them as possible. They want their identity to rule. Though there's a quality of difference between certain aspects, just like Best Buy, you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to beat those allegations because it's the way that it always works. And it's so massive that the biggest things in the world are staying on their own with their own identity. So, Clover says multi-platform is absolutely not healthy for the industry if only Xbox is the one actually executing on it. 100% correct. And that's because they don't have a choice. The multi-platform is awesome stance is nice in theory. But the reality is Xbox doesn't exist in this industry in isolation. 100%. It's almost like you don't need them. Look at the hardware and tell me, do you feel the same and looking at an Xbox Series X hardware as you did when you thought about the 360? You want to know what the difference was? Exactly what he was saying. That would have been absolutely not healthy. And it was working and they were able to compete. You look at this now, man, it's dead. So why you're nobody's agreeing. Now more than ever, you are seeing people come out behind their mask in the Xbox world and actually admitting, yeah, they really do wish that it was like that again. That's why people couldn't let go to 360 era. There's no way around this. So this is something that I really wanted to cover again today. Lots of quests. Cancel PS5 games, bring exclusives back now. See? 2,000 upvotes. We are literally getting Steam natively built Xboxes within the next year. Who cares if PlayStation gets Forza? This is a guy that comes in like that, but that's not what they want right now. That's not the medium. People are really wanting that because they realize, definitely after what I'm saying too, that if you really take a look at what I'm saying, Xbox Helix is going to be the most pointless console or piece of gaming hardware coming from Microsoft, period. Because what is the point if you don't have any identity? You can already do everything with all the PCs right now that it's going to come to with. The only thing that's going to be different is that you could just play older games. But when did that ever sell anything? Do you see people coming out, seeing Series X at 60, 70 million sales because they want to play the older Xbox games? Don't nobody care, man. It ain't moving. Ain't nobody buying it. You can't even sell the Switch 1. Backwards compatibility has a limit. It only works when you have everything else along with it. Switch 2 gangbusters probably sold 23 million within a year. They're already almost about there. Do you see any of that going on? Like Game Pass or some service to play older games? No, only older Nintendo platforms like NES, Super Nintendo, but not no Switch 2 games being on there or those Switch 1 games. No, that's not going to happen. PlayStation, it's hybrid. And then they put PS3 games on PlayStation Extra and PlayStation Premium. But at the end of the day, PlayStation already had a strong ecosystem, and they're not buying PlayStation 5 so that they could play PlayStation 4 games when they already had the PS4. I'm telling you, it's not really about that. That's a nice future. We all love it. Xbox has been doing that, but that never got them to sell more. The 360 didn't have it, really. Not nothing like that. That's not why people got the 360. It was for the current games in that generation. Halo 3. You see? Gears of War. Let's not argue about it. Why are you getting the Switch 2? Well, you want to see the new games. Why'd you get the PlayStation 5? You wanted to see the new games. Now you want to carry over your library and get better performance with the PS6, but still you need some identity there. What's the point of the Helix? I can already do all that with my PC right now. You see what I mean? So what would be the point if there's no identity? Only if you're an Xbox hardcore guy. This is not something you can argue against. Once again, it's a realization of, I need a reason to get it. That's why that survey that was voted for by Matt Piscatella last year and this year had 50% of people, and I guarantee you it'll probably be higher at the moment because now people in the Xbox base are not playing that stupid game. And probably PC gamers went in there and did that. It's like nobody's talking to you. We're talking about consoles. Why do you buy a console? Over 50% said for exclusives. Meaning that's not the only reason they're going to be getting a console, but they're saying, I want to have a reason to do this. Otherwise, why? Then I'm just doing the same thing the PC can do at lower settings, unless you have a PS5 Pro and the future devices coming out, because those future devices are going to be a lot more powerful than the average PCs. Because not most of the average PC gamer, like 85, 90%, they do not have super high-end rigs, or like 4080s and 4090s, and not even a 5070 or 5080. They got like a 3060, 4060. I was hoping to maybe get a 5060, but NVIDIA went full anti-consumer on that and went so full AI that they limited the stock and jacked the price up of everything because they're assholes. But the point here is still too, is even if PC gamers want to say what they want to say about anything anti-consumer, says you have no, you don't have any rights to say anything. You supported the biggest anti-consumer company in the world right now, NVIDIA. You did that. 90% of PC is NVIDIA. Who's more anti-consumer than NVIDIA? NVIDIA. Nobody comes close. Microsoft is not too far. You know what I mean? And they're mostly PC. And all you supported Windows. And the Windows store sucked. So at the end of the day, PC gamers cannot escape this. You can't. You gotta really look at the bigger picture here. Why is everything really more expensive? Because of PC parts. That's where everything goes back to. So there we have it. Xbox, PC, whatever you want to say to think you could overgrip against PlayStation or Nintendo, it's not going to work because those companies are far more worse and have a ton more money. You can't beat this here. And now you know why they attack the identity of PlayStation and Nintendo all the time. Because there's no identity there. And the identity that they did build on stabbed them in the back massively and is significantly worse. And there's no way in hell that companies with way less money and way less anti-consumer practice can't even come close to compete with them. You can't compete with the anti-consumerism of NVIDIA and Microsoft. You can't. And everybody knows it. They're doing the most damage. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. And it is good to see Microsoft improve. The difference between Microsoft and NVIDIA, though, is that at least NVIDIA is winning. But they're making terrible decisions and betraying what helped them get built up. Later.